come make some videos here. So, me pa's doing that. My dog's doing that. And airing out my trailer. Airing out my boat. Got my water. And I've already been in the boat a couple of times already this season, but I haven't looked down. I'm slowly cleaning that junk pile there. Do a little bit each week. I have to do everything in baby steps. There's so much to do, so much to do and not enough manpower to do it. So yeah, climb this thing like King Kong. You can see I got one. Today I'm not really doing much. I'm just kind of like airing out the boat, emptying any water I found. This boat, actually, I think this is the worst leaks I've had on this boat since I bought it many moons ago. In 2007, I think I bought it. It's actually spent more time up here than it has in the water, but I did live on it for a little bit. So let's have a look. These came out pretty nice. Might have to touch them up a little bit there. My major projects, I had the worst water was in here so far. I just drained it out. So a must-have is one of these bilge pumps, these manual bilge pumps. Got water to deal with. So I just want to see where the leaks are coming in now. Everything like that's good. This boat's still pretty solid, but you can see there was some water in the keel, and I threw my sponge. Where did I put my sponge? My keel sponge right there. But it's such a long winter, and what happens is with all the ice and everything on the top of the deck, it sometimes leaks through. Also, I've removed the inner railings and outer railings. I did that in other videos, and I'm going to get back to that. These are sealed up on the outside very crudely. They don't appear to be leaking in there, so I just taped over them, so whatever. But I am getting leaks in other areas, my windows and stuff like that. Now, here's what I'm going to have to do with the boat. What I'm about to tell you, do not do. Never, ever times infinity times 1,000 times infinity times 1,000 use silicone on a boat. Unless it's specifically meant for it. The reason why is because usually regular silicone, sorry, here, hope you guys can see a little bit better now. There's a little bit of dust on there. Usually regular silicone, actually a little more smudge. Sorry about that. Really mess up my focus and everything. But usually silicone leads to, it doesn't adhere to the fiberglass, so you get a leak in there anyway. So you get some of it that stays on, some of it that doesn't. As you see, I got a mess and a disaster. I got all kinds of stuff to clean. Give it a quick cleaning, you know. Now, one thing I'm going to be doing on the boat today, I don't want to get that wet, but all that's got to get cleaned off. Yeah, get all that cleaned off. That's gonna, before it does real damage. So the whole boat, again, it's been locked up for such a long time. It comes off, believe it or not, it comes off with a damp rag or whatever. See behind here. Yeah, so I got to seal up the boat again temporarily. The problem is the proper way to do it requires you. That's not too. Hey, what the heck? Where did that come from? That's where you went. The proper deck requires you to. What? That's weird. Whatever just happened. Oh, it's still recording. Okay. The proper deck requires you, or the proper way to do it requires you to basically remove all the through hulls, etc., 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 etc. And that's going through the hull. Watch you don't end up in the village, because it's pretty disgusting down in the village. But usually that's bone dry. This is the first year where I've had like a lot of water in it. But I'm at that point with the boat where if I don't take precautionary actions, the boat will not be in good shape in a year or two, or a few years. So what that means is if I don't actually start sealing it up properly and all that, and to deal with the problem you run into, quite simply. There you go. So you guys can see me better. There we go. So you're not getting glared out. The problem you run into is that if you just put silicone on the outside, what happens is it leaks on the outside eventually because the silicone doesn't bond with the fiberglass, so it leaks around it anyway, right? So you have to pull everything apart. You have to pull, take off all the through-hole screws, take everything out, put in butyl tape or something along that lines, and put it all back together. Now that's fine if the boat's sitting inside a shed somewhere, or somewhere where you can work on it at, you don't have to cover it every spend half an hour covering it every time you do the project. So the problem you run into is usually you have to do the temporary fix. But ideally about every 10 years or so, you should, every through hole, with maybe the exception of the laminate of the deck stuff, I wouldn't touch that if you don't have to, because if you undid it, what could happen is if you get a separation between the bolts and the deck, you might have a hard time relining that up. It might be next to impossible, and then you're in real trouble. So with the exception of those, I wouldn't touch that too much unless you can get away with it, right? So if you don't know what you're doing, leave it to a professional, that type of thing. But what you can do is, like, again, you strip everything and then you can rebuild it. Like when they built these boats in the 70s and the 80s and up till about the 90s or whatever, what happened is they would just drill a hole between the two cores and throw a bolt down it, seal it on the top, and you're good. But the problem is over time when it leaks. Well, let's see if I get a better angle. Oh, use here. Well, yeah, I'll use this. You guys should be able to see that in there. Over time, what it leaks is it goes down in between the cracks, and then you get a big buildup of water somewhere in the core, right? And then you got to drill a hole and you got to suck it out with a suction cup type of thing. And that in itself is not a big problem, but it's a lot of work. But if you leave it for a long time, then all your core rots, and then when it rots, yeah, you're in trouble. So that's what happens there. So you have to take everything apart, and when you do, you have to fill it all in, completely fill in the hole. You got to router it out a bit to rough it up. And then you fill it all in with epoxy and filler and stuff like that. Then what you do is you re-drill the hole. Now you got a sleeve. So even if the fitting ever leaks, it'll leak into the boat, but it won't leak in between the cores. It's just an inherent problem you're going to get with boats. But if they did that with every single, the added cost to a boat would be astronomical. I'm sure nowadays they can get a technical way to solve that problem, but it would add a lot more cost to the boat. But then you'd have a boat that would never get waterlogged, so to speak. But at some point, you just have to deal with it, however you have to deal with it. So what I'm doing today, I got to kind of multitask while I'm making the videos, is see, a lot of stuff you can just rub off and get it clean that way, and then that way you're not damaging the finish. And then you go over maybe with a damp cloth later on, and cleans up anywhere you see like moldy spots or whatever. And this boat has been basically locked up for almost a year now, just with the way there's cold air in there. Feel the air drafting down there and sucking down in there. But it's been locked up, so now like things are starting to get really, it needs to be aired out, right? That's any boat. It's not just this boat, but that's any boat. But yeah, I got lots of, put down the table. I got lots of stuff to clean up here. I love this table. It's such a nice looking table. But like stuff like this you can see on the wall. It's just like a mold or whatever. Give it a quick scrub. And then that way you don't water damage it as easy. This is a soft finish on this, so get that swinging again. Or I won't know how I'm listing. Listing. There you go. You want to tighten it, not too tight. There you go. I should take that off and just get a wire brush on that and make it nice and shiny again. Bronzy. So there's a little difference between brass and bronze, but yeah, so where it's bad. Lift this up. So this is just, regular scrub brush, dry. Gonna go around the inside of the boat. I'm gonna look for detailed leaks. There was water in the bilge back there. Again, it was a long winter and there was a lot of ice. And that did a lot of damaged too, and then there was a lot of I guess I better wrap this up, but there was a lot of, you know, it sat too long, so now I got to really do a good detailed look, really air it out, get every hatch open. Cushions, the cushions I'm gonna these unzip, so I'm gonna take them off and I'm gonna get them throw them in the laundry and stuff like that. I think I better get that done. Maybe that I get that ready to do that today and then throw them in the laundry during the week or whatever. All right, anyway, I'll leave it at that, and I gotta just get other stuff done.